Assalamu alaikum, friends. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the final story of a beautiful girl's life. This girl was deeply adored by her parents. As she grew up, she became involved in sinful activities and used to drink alcohol. Sadly, she passed away suddenly in her youth. After her death, something miraculous happened with her body, witnessed by thousands of people at the time. Everyone who saw this scene at the cemetery was left stunned, and in unison, they exclaimed, "Astaghfirullah." People began asking, why is this happening to the body of such a beautiful young girl after her death? Everyone was in disbelief. The girl's mother, who was present there, was crying uncontrollably. What the villagers did after witnessing this incident will leave you shocked. Dear friends, today I'm going to share with you a real-life miracle. After hearing this story, you will be able to learn and understand many things. This video is important for everyone, so make sure to watch it till the end and give it a like. Our target for this video is 10,000 likes, and with the grace of Allah, I hope you will help us reach that goal, inshallah. And if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let us take a moment to pray. O Allah, protect us from all calamities and hardships. Everyone, type Ameen in the comment box. Now friends, let's hear that story. In a small village lived a poor family, a father, a mother, and their only daughter, Sarah. Sarah was born 5 years after their marriage, which is why her parents adored her immensely. Sarah's father's name was Rafiq, and her mother's name was Rina. Rafiq was a hard-working farmer, working on the landlord's land to support his family. Although he didn't own any land of his own, he was known throughout the village for his honesty and diligence. From the moment Sarah was born, her parents wanted to give her all the happiness in the world. Rina spent her days taking care of household chores and lovingly raising Sarah. Rafiq toiled in the fields every day because his dream was to send his daughter to a good school and provide her with an education. From a young age, Sarah was exceptionally talented. She always performed well in school and was loved by her teachers. Her parents were incredibly proud of her. During her time in primary school, Sarah had a great relationship with her friends, and she was always eager to study in class. As a child, she was innocent, quiet, and always obedient to her parents. However, as she grew older, things began to change. Sarah's father, Rafiq, was a very hard-working man. Every morning at dawn, he would go to the fields, work all day, and never return home before sunset. Although he didn't own any land, he worked on the landlord's fields and grew crops. He had expertise in cultivating all types of crops, including rice, wheat, potatoes, and vegetables. Sarah's mother, Rina, managed the household and ran the family on the hard-earned money Rafiq brought home. When Sarah was little, her father would bring her sweets every day after work. She loved going to the fields with her father and watching him harvest crops. The earthy smell of the soil mesmerized her, and her father would often tell her how to find joy in work, no matter how hard it might be. Rafiq's dream was to educate his daughter and establish her in society. He would often say, "If my daughter becomes educated, she will not only bring pride to me, but to the entire village." However, fate had something different in store, as Rafiq fell ill before his dreams could come true. One day, while working in the fields, he suddenly collapsed. The villagers rushed him to the hospital, but the doctors informed them that his body had grown too weak and his chances of recovery were very slim. Rafiq's illness brought immense grief to the family. Sarah's mother, Rina, felt utterly helpless, realizing that she wouldn't be able to bear the pain of losing her husband. Sarah was deeply saddened by her father's condition, as she never imagined that her father would leave her in such a way. One night, Rafiq passed away forever. His death cast a shadow of sorrow over the entire village. Rina sat beside her husband's body, sobbing uncontrollably. The villagers came to offer their condolences. For Sarah, this was a shock she never expected. Her love for her father was immeasurable, and now that love would remain only in her memories. This thought left her heartbroken. After her father's death, the responsibility of the household fell on Sarah's shoulders. At that time, she was in the 10th grade. She thought she could work as hard as her father to support the family and stand by her mother. Rina tried to explain to her that girls shouldn't have to work so hard. But Sarah, ignoring her mother's words, set out in search of work. The landlord who owned the fields where her father worked gave her the opportunity to work, but with the condition that she had to learn the job first. Sarah was driven by a strong desire to fulfill her father's dream. The downward spiral of Sarah's life. For the first few days, Sarah worked in the fields, but the physical labor was too much for her to handle. Nevertheless, she continued to push herself. However, over time, Sarah's life began to take a different turn. When Sarah was in high school, she started hanging out with new friends. Unfortunately, they weren't of good character. She began spending time with boys known for their bad habits. They introduced her to temptations, addiction, aimless gatherings, and staying up late at night. At first, Sarah's mother didn't notice anything, as Sarah would often claim she was going to school, but would actually be spending time with these bad influences. At first, Sarah merely socialized with them, but after some time, she too became addicted to their ways. Her life slowly spiraled out of control. She often returned home late and sometimes didn't come back at all, spending the entire night outside. Sarah's mother, Rita, tried repeatedly to explain to her, saying, "My dear, don't ruin your life like this. Your father had big dreams for you." But Sarah didn't listen to her mother. She couldn't leave her bad company. Day by day, Sarah's mother felt more helpless. Sarah became addicted, and soon the whole village began speaking ill of her. One day, Sarah's mother called her and said, "Sarah, the people you're hanging out with are leading you astray. I've warned you many times, but you're not listening. Why are you doing this? You weren't like this before." Sarah responded angrily, behaving rudely with her mother. She said, "You don't understand me, Mom. The people I hang out with are my true friends. Why do you always worry about me?" Then, she pushed her mother aside and stormed out of the house. With tears streaming down her face, Sarah's mother muttered, "If you keep going like this, one day you'll destroy yourself." As Sarah became more addicted, she frequently fell ill. Her body grew weak, but she couldn't let go of her habits. One day she became so ill that she had to be taken to the hospital. The doctor informed them that Sarah's body was suffering from poisoning, and signs of cancer had appeared. Sarah's mother lost all hope. The doctor said there was little chance of recovery. Desperate, Sarah's mother sold the last of her possessions to continue her daughter's treatment, but to no avail. Eventually, Sarah passed away. Sarah's death left her mother's world in darkness. However, when Sarah's body was taken to the cemetery for burial, an astonishing event occurred. As they dug her grave, something strange and terrifying happened. Numerous snakes began to emerge from the grave. Everyone present was shocked. No one had ever witnessed such a miraculous and frightening sight before. The snakes seemed to come up from beneath the ground and began to circle around Sarah's body. The villagers were left speechless. Some ran away in fear, while others stood frozen, terrified. Sarah's mother fainted in horror at the sight. The entire village witnessed this event. Seeing this dreadful scene, the elders present said, Such punishment awaits those who are disobedient to their parents. These snakes have come from Allah as a consequence of her sins, so that even in death, she does not escape punishment. Sarah's sins had become so overwhelming that her soul found no peace even after death. The villagers began to pray, but none of them could shake off the horror of what they had witnessed. Dear friends, those who Allah and His Prophet have mentioned as being destined for hellfire include women who do not observe modesty. This is one of the ways that leads people to hell, as well as a reason for the destruction of one's faith. Allah says, "And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them. And He placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought." Surah Ar-Rud 21. Allah the Exalted also says, "And stay in your houses, and do not display yourselves as was the display of the former times of ignorance." Surah Al-Ahzab 33. During the era of ignorance, women would expose themselves, often being half-dressed or completely bare, which was regarded as barbaric and uncivilized. In this verse, Allah strictly forbids women from following this shameless and indecent path. Allah also says in another verse, "O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves part of their outer garments. That is more suitable that they will be known and not be abused." Surah Al-Ahzab 59. This verse commands free women to wear a specific type of covering. They should draw their cloaks over themselves from above, covering their faces so that they can be distinguished from slave women and remain safe from harm. Allah also says elsewhere, "And tell the believing women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts, and not expose their adornment except that which necessarily appears thereof, and to wrap a portion of their head covers over their chests." Surah An-Nur 31. In this verse, Allah commands women to lower their gaze because what is harmful for men to see is equally harmful for women. Allah also says in another verse, "And when you ask the Prophet's wives for something, ask them from behind a partition that is purer for your hearts and their hearts." Surah Al-Ahzab 53. The essence of this verse is that if someone needs to ask a woman for an object, such as a utensil or a piece of cloth, they should do so from behind a curtain or screen. The partition could be a wall, a door, or a garment. This command is meant to keep the hearts of both men and women pure from evil whispers. Allah further says, "And women of post-menstrual age who have no desire for marriage, there is no blame upon them for putting aside their outer garments, but not displaying adornment. But to modestly refrain from that is better for them. And Allah is hearing and knowing." Surah An-Nur 60. In another verse, Allah has emphasized the importance of wearing modest clothing. Even though this command is often ignored in society, where a mother may wear a full burqa while her youthful daughter remains half-naked or immodestly dressed. Ibn Abbas, R.A., said that the Prophet, PBUH, once remarked, "I glanced towards paradise and found that most of its inhabitants were the poor. And then I glanced towards hell and found that most of its inhabitants were women." Bukhari, Muslim, Mishkat Hadith 5234, Bangla 9th volume, Hadith 5005, Mind-Soothing chapter. Abu Sa'id, R.A., narrated that the Prophet, PBUH, said, "A man should not look at the private parts of another man, nor should a woman look at the private parts of another woman. Two men should not lie under one blanket, nor should two women lie under one blanket." Muslim, Mishkat Hadith 3100, Bangla 6th volume, Hadith 2966, Marriage chapter. In this hadith, the Prophet, PBUH, instructed both men and women to observe modesty from one another. Specifically, except for the face and hands, a woman should not look at another woman's body. Ibn Mas'ud, R.A., narrated that the Prophet, PBUH, said, "A woman should not place her body next to another woman's body or touch it, for she may later describe her appearance to her husband, and he may then imagine that woman in his heart." Bukhari, Muslim, Mishkat Hadith 4099. Bangla 8th volume, Hadith 3921, Etiquette chapter. In this hadith, the Prophet, PBUH, further emphasized that women should observe modesty even from other women. This hadith strongly discourages the custom of mixing freely at weddings, such as the pre-marriage rituals like haldi, where women often ignore these principles. Jarir ibn Abdullah, R.A., said, "I asked the Prophet, PBUH, about an accidental glance at a woman, and he commanded me to turn my gaze away." Buslod, Mishkat Hadith 3104, Bangla 6th volume, Hadith 2970, Marriage chapter. In this hadith, the Prophet, PBUH, strictly forbade men from deliberately gazing at women. Jabir, R.A., narrated that the Prophet, PBUH, said, "Indeed, women come and go in the form of the devil. If one of you is attracted to a woman, he should go to his wife and engage in intimacy with her. This will repel the evil thoughts from his heart." Muslim, Mishkat Hadith 3105. In this hadith, the Prophet, PBUH, compared indecent naked women to devils, warning that they could incite sinful thoughts. Dear friends, Allah has granted women a great honor. But when a woman herself destroys that honor, she only harms herself. The woman whose story I shared today had a beautiful life, but she ruined it by her own actions. No one else is to blame for this. May Allah guide all our mothers and sisters to the right path and give them proper understanding.